We are on episode 15.
Is it 15?
It's
Wow,
15.
I lost track, to be honest with you.
I know, it's just
I
they
did.
all run together. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. Wow, it's crazy.
I know. Here we are, 15.
Mm-hmm.
Today, what are we talking about?
We were talking about aging. That's what we talked about. That's what we said we would do last time. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I'm feeling like an old man.
You
My
feel like
running lately has been like,
I've been slacking.
You've been slacking.
Like today, I just did like a nice easy 3 on the treadmill, and I feel content with that.
There's nothing wrong with
You
that.
know? Like I'm just like the old man at the gym who hits the weight machine and then goes a few minutes on the treadmill and calls it a day.
Yeah. You go sit in the steam room for a little bit. It's
So I
like
do a little steam, do a little
a little
steam.
sauna.
Yeah,
and
you know,
wrap the
open
towel
up
around.
the pores.
Yeah.
Feeling old, man.
Are you really?
I am.
Maybe it's just a phase you're going through. You know what I mean? Because like running could be like that. There's days where you feel just fantastic, and you feel like really everything's working together, and you feel like you're floating. And then other days you feel like you're laboring, you know, and you're having a tough time. So
What does it mean when the days that you feel like you're laboring are most days?
well, yeah, that happens. I really honestly think it does. I think it's ebb and flow.
Yeah.
I think it's ebb and flow. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
There are days where I feel like a 12-year-old who's out there running.
Yeah.
And I know because I was a 12-year-old who used to like go out there and run. And,
Right.
and there's other days where I feel like really kind of, like I'm just sluggish and tired.
Yeah.
And I think it's at age.
It could
Is
be.
it? Or is it just, it could be the way I'm feeling.
Yeah, it could just be one of those days where you're not feeling so good. How was your running today? Did you get out there? Did you do something?
No, I'll go later. I'll go this evening. I didn't get a chance to, but I had a nice run yesterday. I ran 6 miles. I decided to go out in the cold. It was great. Just bundled up with all the gear, and
Nice.
I started out. Right when I started out, it was a little rough. I felt my nose was frozen for about the first half a mile.
Yeah.
Once I thawed out, my nose thawed out. I felt good, but it was nice. It was a nice day. It was beautiful. It was very wintry and very pretty out where I went. Went out to the
Where'd you
woods.
go? Where'd you go?
A place called Lincoln Woods. It's a nice, there's some trails out there, but there's also a nice big pond, and there's a nice 2.5 mile loop.
Mm.
Safer there, right?
Yeah.
Because they block it off. It's a state park, so they block it off for the winter and to traffic, and so you pretty much they plow it, and it's safe, and it's good. It's pretty.
That's nice.
So,
'Cause,
yeah.
I was gonna say if you're running on some sidewalks or something, you might end up on your rear end.
Yeah. For those listening, if you're not from the area, if you're from Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, or Phoenix, Arizona, you don't know the whole thing about snow on the ground. You do, I guess, if you've been where the snow is. But we got a lot of snow on our sidewalks, and there's not much of a shoulder, so you gotta be very, very careful. It's slick, so
Yeah.
you gotta be safe. So
Yeah. Some of those people don't clear out their sidewalks so good.
yeah, that's the thing. We talked about that too. It's like
Yeah.
a pet peeve.
It's a pet peeve, man.
Yep. Some of the sidewalks are just not clear.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It
But
is. Anyway, so my run was good.
Yeah. What are we talking about? We're aging.
We're
Right?
talking about aging.
Aging.
Um,
Now I came at it from like two directions, right? So like running and aging, I think about like, okay, as I get older, how is my running gonna change? And like, is it gonna be harder? Obviously it is, blah, blah, blah. But there's also like another aspect of it where like running can help like prevent some of the effects of aging.
yeah, okay. I like
So I
that.
kind of have a two-pronged approach to this podcast.
Okay.
You know?
Yep. I like that.
Yeah.
I like it because I kind of feel the same way. I look to my past, to my youth, and I look to the future, and how's it going to be? How am I going to be able to continue running? And then there's that, and then there's the whole aspect of, well, you know what? I think running kind of helps in the aging process.
It does. man.
Helps,
It
keep
really
you young
does.
and youthful and fit. So,
Yeah.
and that's the way I feel. I mean, when I look at it, when I look at the whole idea of running and aging, I just think of aging in general. I'm a person who my thoughts are, I'm not going to just roll over and let myself age and not take care of myself and chalk everything up to age and just kind of give into it. I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to give in. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight it.
Baby.
I'm going to fight it, all right? It's because I think it's important to do that. I think it's important, either whether it's running or whether it's weightlifting or whether it's swimming or whether it's bike riding, whatever it may be, walking. I think you got to stay fit. You've got to be active for mind and body to stay healthy, to stay young and youthful. It's important, and that's what I plan on doing.
Mm-hmm.
Staying fit, fighting age, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading some article that was kind of funny on Runner's World that said like, if you could fit all of the effects of running into like a pill, like a pharmaceutical company could make it a pill, $1 billion company.
Yeah. Yeah. Big pharma.
Big pharma.
Big runner.
They gotta invent a pill that has all the effects of running because it's good for like your heart, it's good for your lungs, it's good for your arteries, it's good for your muscles, it's good for your brain. It's like a total body like effect, Like it'll help. It's something ridiculous. Like it helps with mitochondria in your muscles. Like helps them create more or whatever to help you process energy a little bit better. So like if you're aging, those muscles are gonna like deteriorate a little bit, but running can help kind of combat it, which is nuts to me.
Yeah. Yep.
It's craziness.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah. And they say that like some of it has to do with how we have evolved over the years, like from when we had to hunt our food and like chase it down. So it's kind of like that's why humans have a longer life expectancy than a lot of other animals that are mammals, because we run. We've run. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, baby, we were born to run.
Mm.
In the words of the great Springsteen, baby, we were born to run.
That Bruce, he knows what he's talking
Yeah.
about.
So, do you feel different, like, or if we're talking age, like, do you like think back to like say your teens, and do you feel like you're?
It's interesting. In my brain, I don't feel any different.
Yeah.
Like I feel the same.
Okay.
But when I wake up in the morning and I have to hobble to get to the bathroom and get ready,
Mhm.
I feel a little old.
Okay.
But like, I don't know, mentally, I still feel like I'm like 22.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm out there and I'm running, and I'll get in the zone sometimes, and I'll feel like exactly the way it felt when I was like 15,
Right.
16 years old.
Yeah, I
You know,
think those too. Yeah.
It just feels like the breathing, taking in the air, the sensation of the ground, movement, sights and sounds,
Mm.
sensations. I sometimes think, wow, this is just exactly. I might not be moving as fast, or maybe I am.
Right.
Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But it does. It feels the same. So yeah,
Isn't that weird?
it is weird.
Do you ever have days where you feel the opposite of that? Where
Yeah.
you're like feeling super old?
Yeah, I mean, there's days where I'm just like, trudging along, plugging through, and it's
Just trying to get
just
through the
trying to
run.
get through.
Feel like an 80-year-old man. Because that's
Yeah.
what I feel like sometimes when I wake up in the morning. I feel like I don't know, my body's 33, but my legs feel like they're 80 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's because I've put so many miles on them that they're just kind of all like super tight. I probably could do some things to help with that too, like the foam rolling thing and stretching and all that stuff.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I mean, I think that, as much as I want to fight the aging process, or maybe even deny the aging process, there are certain realities I have to take into consideration.
Right.
And I have to be a little more proactive. There's things that, there's things that I need to pay attention to that I didn't really maybe have to pay attention to when I was 15, or when I was 19, or
Yeah.
my 20s or 30s, right? So, you have to be proactive with things. For instance, foam rolling,
Yeah.
doing your dynamic warm-up, doing your stretching, foam rolling, being proactive in that sense helps keep me a little more ready and apt to be able to get out there and run and keep doing it at the capacity that I'm doing it.
Right.
So, yeah. Sleep.
Sleep.
You know what I mean?
is huge,
Like,
man.
And I'm not saying I have the best sleeping patterns right now, but I feel like that goes a long way too.
Mm.
I might not have had the much to that when I was younger. And now I just have to be a little bit more careful about that, a little bit more proactive.
Sleep is huge. Man.
Yes.
So huge.
Diet,
Diet is
nutrition,
huge.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
I can't necessarily go overboard with, you know, craft brew, ice cream, you know, and junk food like I did when I was younger. Not that I went overboard, but I think there was a little more junk food in my diet when I was younger
Yeah.
than now. So you can pay attention to that.
Mhm.
So those are things. Footwear. Footwear's another thing. When I was younger, I could pretty much run with anything on my feet,
Mm.
right? And so I think probably part of the aging process is my feet have changed a little bit,
Yeah.
or maybe quite a bit, and so I have to be a little bit more in tune to that.
Right.
I just feel like you have to be a little more in tune with certain things and fine tune. So,
That's true.
but if you do, you know, if I can be more conscious of things like nutrition, sleep, footwear, stretching, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true. I think it's yeah, it's interesting because like when you're younger, you don't really think about that stuff. You just kind of throw on your shoes, you go out for a run, come back, and you're good.
Yep.
But yeah, as you get older, those things start to like it piles up on you. You know.
Yes.
It can really kind of it can lead to injuries, and then that's going to sideline you for
Right.
much longer.
It's gonna lead to injuries. It's also gonna lead to, well, you know, you're not maybe gonna run as well, and you're gonna end up feeling kind of terrible about it, and maybe get yourself down, and maybe not run because it's like, yeah, I'm too old to do that. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe this is my body telling me I can't do it, but you can do it if you just pay attention to a few things. So, and that I think has to do with maturity. What I find with the aging process is I've become a little bit more, in relation to a lot of things, but in particular since this is a running podcast, in relation to running, I'm a little more mature about things. You know, I take things into consideration a little bit more. So,
Yeah, you've got some experience now.
yeah, you've got some, yeah,
You've kind of been there, done that, so
Yep.
you know what you need to do to stay on the road.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
that's interesting.
yeah, and then it becomes, and if you're doing things like if you're paying attention to stretching and nutrition, you know, footwear, it becomes a lifestyle, and that's good. You
When
know,
you get into the whole routine thing,
You get into
where
the whole
you get into the routine, and then
Yep.
you're good to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Totally. Makes sense to me. You know, what I find interesting is when I was doing my little research is that like the experience of running actually makes runners' brains younger when you look at them.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually look at the brains.
Like it looks like you have a younger brain. And they were saying that the reason that is because like when you're running, you don't really think about it, but you're doing a lot of thinking.
Okay.
You know, so like you're on the road, say it's a day like today when the sidewalk's icy, you're not thinking about it, but you're thinking about where your feet are gonna go,
Yeah.
how you're gonna avoid that ice patch there, you're gonna jump over that snowbank there, okay, there's a red light up there, I'm gonna have to stop. Looking for traffic, you're looking to make sure you're going the right direction. You have to remember where you came from.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff going on.
Yeah, so it's another way that like running can help combat the aging process. It's just by keeping that brain active.
Yeah. And I've heard that that's very, very important in just in the aging process, keeping your brain active. Like, you know, people will do will do like puzzles,
Yeah.
and it's important for people to stay active and connected to friends and community, as opposed to being isolated.
Right.
Because, yeah, you age better, I guess, you know, and stay younger when your brain is active, is active. That's important. Your body needs to be active too, but
Right.
yeah, that makes sense.
It does. And then like that social aspect too, like you said, is huge.
Yeah.
To make sure that you have, if you have people to run with, you're having that conversation, you're using your brain,
Yeah.
you're watching where you're going, but you're also having a conversation. It keeps you young, man.
Yep.
Keeps you young. Do you find that? Because you don't run with people all that much, do you? You do more solo stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean,
these
it's
days.
kind of like these days. It's like with my schedule, it's harder to run with people.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so I'll do a lot of my running alone. But but I still feel like I'm connected to a running community, right?
Right.
Where I live, in the area where I live. So I see people almost on a daily basis and talk about it. And, there's community, so, in that sense. But the runs lately have been solo, yeah. But I do, I'd like to get together more with people when my schedule permits it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure. Do you find that do you have any days where you're out there running and you're not feeling it, so you're feeling like 80 years old and everything's hurting and it kind of bothers you and you don't want to get out there? Do you ever have those mornings where you're feeling like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Mornings, evenings, afternoons, whatever. Yeah. During my running, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I just feel like, I feel yucky to get started,
Yeah.
or yucky sometimes at the beginning of a run, sometimes at the entire run. But I just power through it and know that I have to do it. And I've said this.
Yeah. You just gotta keep going.
I just said, yeah. This is something you can't give yourself any window of opportunity to think about it too much, or just I have to do it. I just have to go and do it. So
Yeah.
I've gotten good with that. I think. I think I've gotten pretty good with just getting out there and just doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever the conditions are.
Yeah, because I've found that as I get older, I've gotten kind of into that mode where I'm not as up and ready to go. Because I usually do my runs in the morning,
Yeah.
and
It's hard.
It's hard to get out the door. It's harder now than it used to be, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And and it's hard to do, especially in the morning, especially in the winter. I find. But there's so many other reasons to stay in bed. You know what I mean?
You're right.
It's so
Right.
comfortable in bed, or even if you're just odd about it, it's just like, well, so many other things to do. And as we get older, I found that my responsibility level has gone up, and more things, more obligations. Family, children, and home, and so there's other things that come up.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a balancing act. So yeah.
Do you notice any effects of the aging process? I read somewhere that the VO2 max level goes down as you age. It's harder for you to kind of process that oxygen through your blood as you get older. Do you notice any of that stuff, or are you just kind of running and?
Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes I think I do. Sometimes I think I get. It's hard for me to keep certain paces up. But yeah, I try to treat that with denial. You know what I mean?
Right.
I really do. I feel like denial is not just a river in Egypt, but yeah, I think so. Sometimes I think I do. But then other times I feel.
Feel good.
I
Yeah.
feel great.
Isn't that nuts how that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed it's harder. I think I've stopped looking at my older times and things. I
Yeah.
don't compare myself to those things anymore.
It's tough to do sometimes because when I look back at some of my older my older times as opposed to my more current times, if I'm talking about races or certain distances, that I've gotten kind of accustomed to doing. Just that's great, that's in its place, but not worrying about that all the time.
Right.
Not worrying about the time. That's a tough thing about aging. I find that that stings a little bit sometimes. I won't lie about that. It does sting sometimes when you look back and you say, man, I can't do that particular speed anymore. But then I try to put it into perspective. I still want to continue to run. So I'm happy I can do that. I'm happy to keep getting out there. Could be a lot more. Could be a lot worse.
That's
Somebody
true.
else is a lot worse.
Yeah,
So
you can
I
not
can
be
get
able
out
to
there.
run at all.
and I'm moving, and I feel like I'm moving, for my age, and I'm happy with that. Some people can't,
That's
for whatever reason,
Yeah.
age, like health. I know some people who can't do what I can do at my age. They've got all kinds of health problems, and so I'm happy about that. But it does sting a little bit, I won't lie. It stings
Yeah.
sometimes look back at
You look
know.
back and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think about like how much work I put in to get to those times, and I'm like, man, do I really want to do that? Now that
I
I'm 33 years old,
Yeah. 33 years
you
young.
know, I'm an old man now. You know,
No, not at all.
I'm getting there, man.
I just think, yeah, just gotta keep rolling, keep staying fit,
Keep staying fit.
keep staying
man.
fit, keep doing it. I see people often, you know, in a running community, and it's like, you know, they sometimes are discouraged, you know, and they talk about age, and you know, I just say you just gotta keep moving though. You gotta keep moving, gotta keep doing what you're doing, staying fit, staying active, being engaged. You know,
Yeah,
be a better person all around. You know. So yeah,
it's hard though, man.
I know.
When I was looking up some data on this, it said that when you get to your 40s, your 50s, and your 60s, each decade your performance declines by 7%.
Yeah.
You slow down 7%. If you were just doing the same workouts, same running,
Yeah.
you're still gonna get slower.
Yeah. I know.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
There's nothing you can do about it.
I mean, I guess, yeah, if you're looking at, if you're really looking at it from a performance standpoint, it is, like I said, it's tough. It stings a little bit
Yeah.
to look at that, to those realities. So that's, with me, that's something that over the past couple of years I've had to do a lot of thinking about, you know. What do I want? Do I want to continue to be really fast and get good times, or do I want to keep running? So, you know,
Right.
do I want to keep running? And I just kind of weigh it. I weigh the pros and cons.
Yeah,
And,
I'm kind of in the I want to keep running camp,
yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm shifting. I still like to compete and stuff, and I still think I can do pretty well if I compete and put my mind to it. But there's other things out there too. Like I really like getting out there as much as possible and running, you know. And I like running with different, you know, when I do run with people, I like running with different groups of people. I like running with people who are absolute beginners, and then I really enjoy working and running with people who are super fast, you know,
Right.
who are willing to stay with me for a little bit, you know, and run. And so that's neat.
Yeah.
Again, the whole community aspect comes up. I like to think that someday my kids might decide that they want to run for whatever reason,
That'd be cool. Go for
and
a
I
run
want to
with
be able
your
to
kid.
run with them, you know. And with my
That'd be
wife,
fun.
she continues to run, and so, you know, I see that I want us to both continue running and running together when we can, and so, yeah. And there's a lot of different events too. There's different. What I think is if I feel like for me, if you're talking about performance, I felt like, you know, maybe I can't run as fast a 5K as I could when I was younger,
Yeah.
but I could try some other distances.
You could.
I could probably run, you know, I could switch up and run, say, run like a half marathon or
Yeah.
marathon or an ultra, you know?
Yeah, that's what old people do.
Yeah,
Old people,
you know what I
they
mean?
get to a certain age and they go like, all right, 5Ks, whatever,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do a half. And then they get a little older and they're like, all right, half marathons, that's whatever, I'm gonna do a marathon. Marathon, good, cool, I'm gonna do an ultra.
yeah,
I'm gonna do a 30 miler.
right.
I'm gonna do a 50 miler.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as you get older, just gets longer because you don't want to run fast anymore.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, even elite runners will do that too. Like you don't see a lot of elite runners, in their early 20s running marathons. They usually wait a little bit. You
That's
know?
true. Yeah, you don't want to beat you up.
And they decide to do, because it does beat you up too. So, yeah.
It'd be interesting to see one go the other way. Start off on marathons and
Yeah.
then finish with a mile.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple really strong ultra marathoners
Yeah.
who are young. There's a couple of youngins out there right now who are actually excelling at the longer distances, ultra distances.
Ah.
So that's interesting too. So
I wonder what they're gonna be like when they're 80 years old.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah.
I have any knees left.
Yeah.
That's
No
a myth.
knees.
That's a myth, though.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
running's not that bad for your knees.
Yeah. So I just think about all the positive benefits of running,
Mhm.
I feel how, I really honestly look at my own experiences, and I feel much better now than when I wasn't running,
Yep.
you know.
Do
I
you
feel
want to hear
better.
some of the positive benefits of running?
I do.
Let's see.
Lay it on me.
I'm gonna lay it on.
Lay
you.
it on me.
Now, it literally, like I said, it affects pretty much all of your body, right? So, studies have shown that running can literally add years to your life.
That's good.
Like
Like-
legit, like 3 to 5 years on
Right.
your life. If
So
you
that's a
run
benefit.
Consistently.
Heck with fast times, I want that.
I want that.
Give me more years, right?
Right?
To spend with my children and my wife, and
Yeah. And it strengthens your heart and lungs, obviously, right? Your heart's working really hard to kind of get that blood flowing through.
good.
Another thing is it helps with your arteries. So your arteries, as you get older, they start to get harder and they're not as elastic.
Yeah.
But when you're running, you're pumping blood through it at high volumes, and that allows your arteries to stay more elastic, which will help reduce like heart disease,
Right.
heart attacks, issues like that.
Because you don't want your arteries to get hardened.
You do not.
No.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Sweet.
They also say that runners, because like we were saying earlier, use their brains a lot while they're running, they have a higher concentration and volume of gray matter and better memory, quicker recall, and you just generally feel smarter than if you were to not run.
Nice.
How crazy is that?
It's crazy.
It's
It's
nuts.
wild.
It also increases your muscle strength because you're throwing yourself through the air and you're lifting your weight up off the ground every time you take a step. It improves the strength in your muscles.
Nice.
How crazy is that?
It's great.
Yeah, like I said, they have younger appearing brains. And what I found was cool, like that thing about the mitochondria, you know, in your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
It actually helps restore mitochondria, and it helps generate more energy efficient muscles in your muscle contractions, which is kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And what is even cooler is you don't have to run like 100 miles a week to get all of these cool benefits. You just really, all you have to do is put in like, I think 2.5 hours a week of running, is what they said.
Wow. That's not a whole lot when you look at the whole week.
In 7 days, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not a whole lot.
No.
It's pretty crazy.
And that's just, yeah.
And if you run more, you do get like a little bit more of a benefit, but it's not like so dramatic
Yeah.
that it's worth it, you know?
That's amazing. When you really think about it, you know, like that minimum amount of work. Yeah. I'll take all of those benefits over fast times, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
me too.
So you just, and that's just kind of like, I would say that probably the past couple of years I've been trying to put it more into perspective like that. Like I run as much as I can,
Right.
you know, and I run as much as I can, and whenever I can, I take the opportunity, knowing that things are going to get in the way, and then,
Hmm.
right, obligations come up, responsibilities, and you have to take care of them. And so because of those, sometimes I miss a day or two here or there. But I want to
That's
run as
fine.
much as possible. It's fine.
It's fine.
It is. But, yeah.
Like this morning, I was like, I usually do my runs in the morning. When we do this podcast, I get here an hour before I usually do.
Yeah.
So it kind of I gotta be like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna
Yeah.
do the dishes, or am I gonna get my 3 miles in? 3
Right.
miles all day.
Get you 3 miles.
Dishes is
Yeah.
not gonna make my arteries more elastic.
Right.
Dishes aren't gonna make my brain smarter. Dishes aren't gonna make my heart more efficient and make me stronger.
Right.
You know?
Dishes aren't going to keep the pounds away. You know, it's not going to make the pounds go away.
Right.
It's not going to keep you lighter, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah, dishes
So-
might help keep the bickering to the minimum with
Right.
my wife when she gets home from work,
Yeah.
but it's not going to improve my life so dramatically
Yeah.
as running is, you know. So I get on the treadmill and bang out my 3 miles, and I came here. I took a shower.
Good
though.
for you.
I took
Good
a
for you.
shower. Showered
Hey,
up,
if
made
you
sure I wasn't stinky. For
If
the
you didn't, it
podcast.
would have been okay.
Oh,
It's
that's
certainly
nice.
general, right?
I don't think I would want to do a podcast not showered. I have some tips.
Okay.
I have some tips. So when you get older, things change, you know. It's not as easy to get out the door. Injuries are gonna pop up a little bit more. So I was reading a nice article about some tips for folks who are aging.
Okay.
So, some ways to kind of just help yourself out when you're out on the run to make the runs go a little smoother. Start off your run a little bit slower than you used to. I find I do that all the time now. I think a few years back I shifted to making most of my runs a progression run
Okay. So you start off slower and you increase your pace as you
as you go.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's a longer run, then you start off much slower than you finish.
Yes.
You know? I think it's just a good way to kind of get into the rhythm.
Yeah.
And that's after you do like your dynamic warm up and all that crap.
Yep.
That's not crap, sorry. All that stuff.
All that stuff.
All that great thing.
Yes.
All those great things. you
yes,
have to
yes.
do Before you go running.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is you're going to take more of those easy days, you know? So like when I was in college, we would race on Saturday, long run on Sunday. I'm old now. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
If I race on Saturday, then easy day Sunday. Maybe it's a light, whatever, 2-3 miles, something like that. As you get older, it's not as easy to do those back-to-back
Yeah.
workouts. And it
Okay.
can cause injuries, which is not good.
No, you don't want that.
Right. And if you are training for like a race, like a 5K, 10K, half, full, you're going to do your build up over a much longer period of time. That's going to help you out.
All right.
So instead of building up in like, I don't know, 12 weeks for a marathon, maybe you push it to 14 or 16 or 18 weeks just to give yourself some time and build in those rest days.
Nice.
Make sense?
It does.
And then we talked about this a little bit, but don't look at the times that you have run in the past because it just messes with your brain.
It does mess with your brain.
I was gonna
Anybody who runs, who does compete and race, can relate to that. You know what I
I
mean?
almost dropped a swear word right there.
Ooh, wow. Bleep. We're gonna bleep it right
we
now.
could have bleeped it out.
That's right.
It messes with your brain.
It messes with your brain. It does.
Yeah.
It does mess with your brain. And if you're if you're a runner who wants to continue to compete, and whatever distance it is, I think you might want to think about like age group.
Yeah.
PRs, right? So,
Right.
you know,
I ran my fastest time as a 40-year-old
you're right.
or a 50-year-old.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Look at it that way and compare it, or judge it by that. If you need to, right?
Good idea. It's a good idea.
Yep.
Also, and you mentioned this, just be happy that you're running.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Because there's other people who don't run and they can't run.
They can run.
You should be happy you're running.
Yeah. I mean, it's some people can't walk, and so think of it that way too. Like,
Right.
get out there.
Yeah.
So
You're still able to get out there.
right. And
Nothing wrong with that.
exactly.
Yeah. So those are just some tips.
And I think all of those tips actually could be applied to a lot. I mean, runners in general.
That's
you know what
true,
I mean?
man.
I think it's a matter of maturity. I mentioned it before. I think maturity needs to be there because if you get someone who's, say, in their 20s and they're overdoing it, they're going to burn themselves out,
It's true, man.
right? Psychologically,
It's true.
they might physically burn themselves out. They can injure themselves. So those are tips that can be applied to most runners.
Anybody who runs.
Right.
You know?
So
Yeah.
food for
thought.
thought right there.
That's for
So,
sure.
yeah.
Also, I read this. This was like when I researched like running and aging.
Yeah.
It was funny how many articles talked about how runners tend to look old because they run in the sun
Okay.
and their faces get wrinkly.
Yeah.
I find that's not true. Like whenever I look at people who run, they always look like way younger than they
Yeah.
actually are.
Yeah.
But I was surprised on how many articles were like, oh yeah, all those old looking runners because their faces are wrinkly from the sun.
I mean, I've heard people say that.
I think it's silly.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Like you gotta take care of yourself, and maybe it's because you know, all the runners I know do take care of their skin.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that maybe 30 years ago that might have been the case. I think people weren't as conscious about damage to their skin. Maybe they weren't using, you know, sunscreen and taking care of that kind of stuff. I think modern day, I think runners are, I find, just my experience is that people tend to be a little bit more conscious about their skin and use protection. I know I do. I
Yeah.
do, but you know, I've heard that before too. I've read articles and you know that suggest that.
You know, I went to one of these health fairs, and they had this like screen. where you
Oh
could
yes,
use it.
yes, you.
It's
Oh yeah, I've
screen,
done that before.
The black light, yeah, with
Yes.
sunspots. Lady said I was gorgeous. Looked great. Because I
Nice.
always run with a hat.
Because you want to look okay.
Yeah.
That's important
So
too.
even if you don't want to put cream on your face,
Yeah,
put a hat on.
I probably should run with a hat a little bit more than I do.
You should.
I put the screen on. I put the sunscreen on. I'm pretty good about that. Not pretty good at that yet, but maybe I should run with a hat more.
You should.
Okay.
And you look cool too.
Right. You think so?
I think so. Go flat brim.
Flat brim? Really? Okay.
A nice Philadelphia 76ers
Philadelphia
Flat brim,
76ers.
yeah.
All right, cool. Very well.
with your Allen Iverson jersey.
Not with
on.
my, yeah, exactly.
And your 1960 warm-up jacket.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
You looking sharp.
So,
Well, Ray, I think that might be it.
yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for hours, like most of the podcasts, but yeah, I guess it's time that we move on and
Yeah.
we have other responsibilities to
Me
take care of.
too. Yeah.
But again, I'm not just not gonna roll over.
Not giving
You know,
up, man.
You're not gonna hear any complaints about getting old or don't get old from me. It's like, just keep rolling it out.
Right.
Rolling it out.
Keep going. You know what I do too now is I go to the gym more
Yeah.
to help combat the aging process.
To do other
To
things
get
like strengthening,
yeah,
all
just
around
get strong
strengthening.
all around.
Yeah.
As opposed to just running.
Right. I think that'll help. That'll help you as a runner in general.
Yeah.
And I think that will help anybody, whatever age you're at. But I do find that when I pay attention to my core and I'm doing other exercises to strengthen, right? It helps my running and it helps me feel good all around.
Yeah.
And I think it helps me to feel young.
That's what life's all about, man.
Yeah.
Life's all about feeling good,
Life's about feeling good,
being happy.
being happy. You don't want to be miserable. You don't want to feel bad. You don't want to feel, tired climbing a set of stairs, right?
No. I want to feel good climbing stairs.
Yeah.
I want to feel like Rocky.
I want to feel like Rocky.
Get to the top and just be pumped.
Yep. I want to chase after my kids in the backyard and feel good, like I can do that.
Right. Sling the old pigskin around,
Throw that old pigskin
suck
around.
and win.
Yep.
And then when your kid's like, I don't know, 15, you can still dominate in the basketball,
Yeah.
right?
I'm not going down. I'm going to school my son on the basketball court for as long as I can.
Yeah. Show him it's not easy. Nobody's gonna give it to you.
That's right.
You
no one's
gotta
gonna
earn
give
it.
to you. Yeah. So it's good. Yeah.
Sweet. Anything you want to talk about next week, or do you want to keep it open? Or do you have like an idea? Because this was a good one. You came up with this one.
Thank you.
You're
I
good at this
appreciate it.
stuff.
I appreciate it. Well, I mean, I maybe like to keep it open,
Sure.
right? Because
Yeah.
I've got so many things up in my brain right now as far as things we could talk about that I just don't know what to throw out there. But maybe we'll keep it open and surprise the folks listening out there.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our listeners, by the way. We appreciate you, people tuning in. We appreciate feedback. I have a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, I really love your podcast. Hey, I was listening to your podcast when I was cleaning the house or when I was on a run. And I didn't know you had a podcast, but I don't really like it. I listened to it. It was good. So keep it up.
Yeah.
Spread
thank
the
you.
word, too.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Tell your friends.
So cool.
And, so yeah, I guess we'll see you next week for episode 16.
16.
And we'll surprise you.
We will surprise you.